Hello, everybody. My name is Lou Jensen, and this is the weekly get-together of a group we call the INE Network, the Discovery Studio Network, and we've been on the web now for about 8 years trying to figure out how to take a really great hobby and turn it into an even better business. I get the occasion often in my 30, nearly 40 years of doing this for myself now to try and help people see the potential of moving your life from a after-tax income, which is a paycheck, to a pre-tax income, which is a business. And even if it's a small enterprise, it still is such a tax-deductible excuse to go play. And it's about the only option left for about 80 million baby boomers to get out there and find some way to still retire and play with the last few years of your life. Had the occasion a couple of days ago to sit with my longtime friend Jacob and spend some time with some counsel, and he's opening up a door now for me and for all the rest of us that's going to be absolutely an incredible thing once we get everything put into place. And those kinds of things just keep happening and keep coming a little bit further in the substance of things that I've worked on for now nearly about 40 years. But I bump into it also, people who are new, who are thinking about it or just getting started, and they still don't quite know what the choices are or what the options might be. And so I've done a sequence of shows lately to try and help those who are beginning really get some kind of a view or a vision of where they're probably going to head or need to head to enjoy some degree of success here. So as we start out the show tonight, I'd like you to kind of kick back, consider very carefully the kinds of things that you ultimately want to end up doing. And coming up with those decisions seems to be somewhat the challenge. Most of us don't sort through enough what the next steps maybe ought to be in our life. We literally get started, but we don't stay with it. And that part tends to make things more confusing and even a little more difficult. So as we take on tonight, what I'm hoping you'll do is kind of look at the idea that if you're going to get the success out of what remaining precious days you have left, we each have the key to that. And as you're looking for the keys at which directions you're going to try and go, I try and lay out my life as wide open as I possibly can for each of you to kind of get a pattern or see some avenues of the way I have gone, the way many of our masters have gone, and realize that if you've got a really grand thing to go after, something to work on and something to aim at, God, life gets easier. It's just a whole much better way to go after it. And as you start looking at what we're really trying to accomplish, as a group, it's one thing to go after some degree of success on your own, but to go after it together has really seemed to me to be the ace in the deck. It's pretty tough to take on the mountains of success alone. But if I ask you to individually consider, what do you think the key of success really is? What is the key that then can really open up your future? Do you know what the key is? Do you know where the lock is? Do you know what doors you're trying to get open? And is there just one, or are there many? If you could sit right now tonight while we're getting started with the show and figure out what is your worst problem, what is the one thing in front of you that seems to raise hell with your potential and your opportunity. The keys are time and money and energy and direction and choices. And there's so many options. There's almost more options now than there's ever been, and that also makes it a little difficult to make those choices and those decisions. And if life really is a journey, have you gotten the direction figured out? Are you already on the path that you have decided is going to be worthy of your effort for this last few years, or are you still searching for the path? If we compress living into a game kind of a concept, how are you doing with the game? Are you on the path you want to be on? And are things getting better, or are things getting worse? All those are little measuring kind of ideas or measuring kind of concepts that only you can basically put up in front of your doing and say, yeah, I'm doing okay, or no, hell no, I'm not doing well at all. And the options are, what do I do then? And it's probably just a similar kind of a pattern for just about everybody. We each get to decide. We each get to make every decision and every choice. And what we decide today does influence them tomorrow. Even if we decide not to decide, it usually slides in a negative direction if you're not making proactive choices. So the big vault, the one thing you've got to get through are the degree of choices, the quality of the choices, and almost always they're challenging. If it's an easy choice, it's probably not very valuable. If it's going to press you quite a bit, that's usually where the best issues are. Out of every week, how are you doing? With 168 hours in a week, for me to fulfill what I dream of doing before I check out and get this cable network going, Our Journey TV, I need to have enough talent who is experienced enough to do their own shows and fill up 168 hours a week. That's a really tall order. And I'm gradually pulling one thing into it, another thing into it. I listened to a radio show of Glenn Beck. Google has approached Glenn Beck because they're very fascinated with what he's doing with his own Blaze TV and what Oprah's doing with OWN TV, because they're going after a subscription basis that will then pay for them to help make the Blaze TV thing growing. And the chairman of the board at Google is very, very fascinated with what he's doing. And we're not that far down the line yet, but we're building this very entity right smack under everybody's nose. And if you're going to be a part of this, then what I've got to have out of you is a degree of success, a degree of capacity of something that you have that's unique that we can then share. And every one of my masters are going to have a shot at this. Whether they want to do it or not, that's up to them. But I'm hopeful that we'll be able to actually make that work out one day. Each of us exist today because of the choices we made yesterday. And so our decision making is actually, even as subtle as it is just huge when it comes to any degree of success. And it involves every day of our lives. We cannot take on, well, I'll worry about it Wednesday, but I'm not going to worry about it again until Sunday. Doesn't it just startle you guys how fast Wednesdays come up? Wednesday and Thursday evenings are pretty busy times for me, and I really try hard to have something worthy of your sitting down and spending this hour with me to get you to think, to get you and me to reason together. I put the same thoughts and concepts up to kind of make sure that what Lou Jensen is doing is investing his time, not just spending and wasting it. It's a big difference in every hour of every day, those 168 hours. How many of them do you spend? You will spend them all. They'll get burned up whether you want to or not. But how many of the hours out of 168 every week are you actually investing? That will then return in the future. Whenever I get to detect a conversation, someone says that someone else or something else is what's messing up their life. Often when we're talking to someone else, we don't realize that this is actually what we're saying. And so I want you to spend some time this week and really look at your own individual conversation and your thinking. Make absolutely certain that there's nothing, no one else, or nothing else that's making things difficult. We are the captains of our own choices. And may all of your choices read. Isn't this an amazing quote? I would think sitting down with Nelson Mandela for a week's worth of conversation would be one really amazing experience. And when you can come again and realize that this is the real issue here. If your life every day has a degree of hope to it and some faith in the future, you really do have a chance to do something about it. And what we decide or not helps our life grow or not. It really is our own personal decisions and our own personal choices to say, okay, from now till next Wednesday, are there some things that I can get done that really might improve my own individual circumstances? We're free to make our own choices, but you're not free to choose the consequences. It's not that really profound. And if life is all about choices, always do your best to make the right ones, and always do your best to learn from the wrong ones. And no one gets through this world unscathed. We all have made not so good choices. And then it's what we do from there, because we've learned some new things and some new issues. I taught an advanced seminar. I had occasion to go back through what I do. I've been involved all week with getting my order done for the university and got that all finished and delivered it, and I'm doing a video about it, so it's just right up into my eyeballs with microblasting. And when I do it again and get involved again, and I think how far it's come and how long it took us to get it to be a part of this whole picture, I'm really proud of the fact that we got on that bandwagon 20 years ago and stayed right on it, and I just couldn't even measure. I measured one time, I've done about 16,000 sandblasted items in my, that's a lot of blasting. But that's what it takes to give you that degree of experience. And when you get involved in this and you start moving in a particular direction, I'm going to now get to do my most famous piece so far was the Orson-Hyde Prayer for Jerusalem. It's in the study center in Jerusalem now in the entranceway, and we're going to duplicate a copy and have it in Jack's collection here before long. So I've got another magnificent project to be involved with, because I've spent that effort and stayed on it for as long as I have. My first exposure came out, there were several, and they were all an accident. But I go after exposure now by design. And if there's any one thing any of you are missing and need more of, it's this same kind of publicity, okay? When it comes out in major national magazines like this was Ingersoll Rand's trade magazine, the Air Compressor magazine, and it went to 80,000 people that are involved in compressed air ideas and just popped the high-speed power pin like crazy. And when someone else says things about you and brags about you in the marketplace, it just changes the tone and the efficiency, and it elevates your own name and reputation like crazy every time. So if you could measure how many good ideas did you cross paths with this week, how many have you crossed paths with this year that you have actually worked really hard at taking advantage of? No question that most of our thinking, most of our ideas never turns into something in reality or put in the checkbook. But my gosh, if you let your ideas keep going past you, and you don't find a way to grab those ideas and start pulling them into your life, then you're really shortchanging the potential of the success that's in front of you. I watched this piece evolve into existence. Al started sketching it out. He had the ideas in his head. Then he did a claymation of all these carved panels. And this was a $30,000 cabinet, an Art Nouveau mixture of Western cowboy flavors with Art Nouveau. And every time he would show this piece, my good Lord, talk about a reaction. The whole world. This has been all over the Western states at different exhibits, particularly the one in Las Vegas, the Western show at Christmas time in Las Vegas. And this guy from Texas just went stark raving, him and his wife over this piece. But try and guess how much time went into the production of this. This is just not something that could happen in a half hour or a week. This is something that really required a great deal of paying attention to in order to pull it into his life. But Al really was consistent at making those kinds of huge efforts. The same thing's true for doing well on tempered steel. There's probably no surface that gets more attention than tempered steel on a knife blade. And if you've seen the $1 million knives that Buster Winsky made and Julie Warinsky, some of those people that have excelled at this have just gotten on the bandwagon, and they make every hour of every day for the rest of their lives zeroed in on this one thing that just thrills them to death. Jim Sigg would rather engrave knives than breathe. I mean, the guy is just amazing at the kind of things he's been able to come up with and pull into his life. But it's just such a wide open challenge, because every one of us have found something different that we really enjoy doing and have gone after those things, and there's just no end to it. And I would love to put each of you into this equation and have you doing well enough at something that we can then start bragging about you. Since 1983, we evolved from the power pen to the micro sandblaster, then to the airbrushing, and James put this little logo thing together for me a number of years ago. And if you can kind of sense that this is the world that I like playing with, but it's certainly not the only artistic world. There's a lot of options out there, and I would like to pull all of those options into what we're doing. When we went up to drop Tammy's puppy off, and then we went on up to see Jack Solomon. This is the road up to Jack's place. This is called State Street in Salt Lake. It's right downtown Salt Lake. And this right here, that's the Capitol building, and it's up above. All the Mormon church stuff is over in this neighborhood over here. But this is called the Eagle Gate. And I can't tell you how many times this was kind of a thing that Brigham Young put up for Salt Lake City when it first started. And it's a concept that has been evolved from that period forward. And there's just so many people in the Salt Lake region who look at Eagle Gate as a very, very strong symbol of what this city is all about. But I every time I see it, I start seeing and thinking different opportunities. So I grab it and I put it into my phone and onto my digital journal, and I'm going to start zeroing in on that opportunity, because this time it meant more to me than it has in the past. As I passed through that gate and headed up to see my friend, I felt like there's something significant about that moment that I'm going to capture and stay with. Several years ago, Cheryl and her husband Larry is one of the nation's leading custom boot makers, and they bought our equipment, our systems, and came up. And Larry went through all the training, got everything going, and started doing his carving. And a while back, Larry passed away. And poor Cheryl's been left alone and just kind of hanging now. I'm trying to figure out, oh, geez, now what do I do with the remaining part of my life? And she spent some time with me and some time with Craig. She's been here for almost 2 weeks of training. And she lives in Durango, Colorado. Now, if you've never been to Durango, Vernal is right over here, and Salt Lake is right over here on this map. So she's not too far away, but she's in southern Colorado, almost to New Mexico. And what an incredibly great place to do custom personalization. She just has an awful lot of potential around her, and that's what we've tried to help her find this whole week while she's been here. And even though she's just getting started, she's just beginning to learn everything that's going on here, she's already had requests of her family and friends that want to have something done when she gets back. And when she walks back into the life with this kind of a sample, it's going to be really good for her, really going to help her get things launched. So where I started with her was this planning portion, this thing that is kind of how I go at my own living. It's opportunity intersection, the book and the business plan that I put together now. And all it's designed to do is try and help you at the end of every day measure how did the plan go. And I don't think it has to be that every hour of every day or every second is overly productive. I don't know anybody that can actually do that. But if your aim of the day has been such, then the ideas that show up should start fitting into the overall plan. Now, I was running around and I actually shot this photograph for that. This one here was what it was out west, and I was running to try and get this picture because it was just an amazing sunset. So I jumped up on top of the overpass at the freeway, which is where I am right now, and I let the camera, there was so much light it kind of overdid the f-stop and made this image. But right here, to the right side of me, when I turned and looked, this was such a unique thing to see that B-1 bomber coming right at me from that angle and that perspective, and then have the shadows of the mountains in the back. Now, we've just been talking. I'm going to take Sister and her husband up to see the Aerospace Museum in Ogden. And we're going to ride the train up. We've got a beautiful new train that goes from there, from where we are up Ogden, the seats. So the reminder was that, but I have always been super fascinated with the B-1 bomber. And at this very same time, my boys and I, we're going to build a car that looks like a B-1 bomber. And we're going to put a motor and a rear wheel and a motor and a rear wheel from these fast little motorcycles on the back end. Then we're going to make a middle pod that will be where you'll drive the car from the center part of it. And then as you go around turns, we're going to have this side drop down and this side elevate a little. So as you move into a turn like a motorcycle will rotate, we can build the car so it will take the turns on a whole different basis. So with all that going on, and I'm trying to capture the sunset, and I turn around, this damn thing goes right smack in my face. I just don't think these kinds of things, when they show up in your life, are accidents. And wouldn't it be absolutely amazing if these kinds of things are supposed to come along and get your attention? And all I do is play with that now. I pull that into my life, and I nudge everything I can possibly do on every given day to try and figure out how in the hell do we unlock the future. What are the keys? What are the things that I could help Doug see with his own potential? This kid has so much skill. He's just really got the hands for it. But my good Lord, has he been through a rough time. He has had such a tough go. And a lot of you do. A lot of you get into situations that are just so damn challenging, it's unbelievable. But when there's almost a key in your hand and a way to unlock the door of your future, that's what you really need to kind of pay attention to the most. And what I try and do is have you rub pass with someone as great as old Keith Holm. If you had a sense that you move your life from where it is now to where Keith Holm's life is now, and you realize what he did was find a way to unlock the potential and the opportunity, and he's been living in this pathway in this direction now for a very long time, good 30 years. And what a blessing. What a blessing to be able to grow old and play with something that just thrills your heart. I walked out this morning and was just walking around the neighborhood, and I looked at our roses, and this rose is in our front yard, and oh my Lord, is it gorgeous. So I clicked off a quick picture. But I came down and I played with the options on my phone. So when you put the actual photograph in and start nudging with all the editing options, this one is called cartooning. And what it does is take it and nudge it a little bit more. Then I put it in my Digital Image Pro, and I just airbrushed the edges down just a little bit and nudged it from here over to here. Now that's kind of in a nutshell what I'm trying to help you see with the keys and the goals and the ideas that you're doing. The first thought that we have about a concept is usually not enough. We have to stay on it. We have to keep trying to do more things with it. We have to change the shape and fuss with it a little bit. We have to come in and tint it if we can. There's all kinds of things that we can do that would then enhance it and make it more our own. It's the same thing when you publish concepts. Ron had a post up today about was it the 10 things about success, wasn't it, Ron?
I don't remember which one it was, Lou.
I think it was a list of 10 things of success and comments of success. And as I went down through it, I thought, well, what we need to do is to take those concepts, because there's several more ideas that could even go with that, and have that begin to be something that we then compose, and we put our own name and our own brand on it. So the first thing you do is publish what someone else has done. Then you come in and start trying to make that idea your own. It's just the same as this quote right here. To live a creative life, we must lose our fear of being wrong. There's no question. That is as true as gospel. So, but could it be said in some other ways? And I bet you I've said this in 10 different ways in the last 30 years, but it's something I really deeply believe. So I like how it's presented. I like what's said, but I guarantee you I'm going to pull this by next year. This is going to be a quote and a saying and a verse that then fits in my life. Because what you're doing is, as you do your own efforts and go through life, what you want to do is then make it your own. Okay? I saw this also posted this week, and I just couldn't stand it. That is so clever. I can't imagine making a living like that every day. Can you? But I just said, oh, gosh, I got to pull that into my life because it fits with my world aggressively. And I think when you see these kind of things that then fit, this is a signal of the path that I've been on for 38 years. I got on it. I've stayed on it. Anything to do with eggshells is a Lou Jensen thing. And there's quite a few in our group and in our circle that are playing with the same concept, but they've not bothered to make it quite the central part of their living. And maybe that's the next step that you should make. Every time you see an image, it's said that on Google that 70% of Google Plus are images. And when you can spot something like this, I grabbed this and sent it to Gary Price, because this is a Gary Price kind of thing. What Gary Price does is does interactive art. He does interactive art that lifts the human spirit. And it's the very thing that you should all be paying attention to. The same kind of opportunity is in front of each of you. And I told Gary, I says, but Gary could do a piece of artwork that would reverse this process. This would be the artwork instead of this. So there's a positive thing and a negative space thing going on here that could be just dynamic. Could be so much fun to play with. Every time I see an image, something like this one, it just bangs me so hard because I see a connection in my own pathway with these kinds of images. If you've been with me on this 8-year journey, you know that this image is a Lou Jensen image. This is the very thing that I absolutely love. But you got to capture it. You got to use it. It's got to affect your thinking as you go to sleep every day. It's got to affect your thinking every week. Mel picked this up and shot it to me a little bit earlier in the week, and I sat and looked at it for quite a while, because if you look at success, is there a word out of everything surrounding the word success today that really captures your head? Okay? Can you see any one word on here that means a little more to you than maybe the rest? Right there is the one that caught my attention. Where your head is and where your heart is and where your hands are will become your treasure. And the more you go after that individual focused effort, that degree of success that you're after will show up. But I think when these are significant, they have to be as interactive with you, with other words, as this one was for me. And anything that Zig Ziglar put out, I really like. I've enjoyed this motivator for years. Don't be distracted by criticism. Remember, the only taste of success some people have is when they take a bite out of you. And that's so fun. I've opened myself up for so much criticism for so many years. And I really mostly am past that now. I guess there's a bullet or two out there yet that I'm going to have to take and deal with, but it sure helps when you can get to the point where it's not quite so difficult for you, criticism, that you can absolutely manage. When this one came up, I was just dumbfounded. I was so impressed to see this image, because someone has produced this. And the thing that drives me crazy about the web and the stream is you don't know who did the work. This is an absolutely astounding piece of work. And if there's anything that I should have done, being the inventor of the drill and an ex-dentist, and that idea or that direction in enamel, to carve enamel, I carved so much enamel and cut holes in it for 15 years. There's no way in hell I ever want to go back and carve another eggshell. But is that not unbelievably unique thinking? I just absolutely love it. And when you can say, well, okay, if I put that into my journal and keep it in my life, who knows at what point something significant here might show up. But the truth is, opportunity is always right under your nose. It's within the reach of everybody's mouth. And when I do my crystal like this, I just sit back and think, man, if I couldn't help 1 million people get involved with the thank you business and blasting crystal and have it be so freaking damn productive. All you got to do is get the equipment, learn how to use it, and then make a little effort in this direction, and it's just the most rewarding thing that I know. When we're making ourselves happy, doing the things that we love the best, then I think life is just about as good as it can get. The opportunity exit is a pretty significant concept that I worked on for years and years to come up with the idea that growing old in the fast lane on the freeway of life is just not smart. The best thing you can do is find the exit, get your butt off the fast lane, and start doing something that's more in the range of a hobby, something that's really satisfying and that's your joy. and go after step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. There's quite a number of you that are playing with this business plan, my opportunity intersection business plan now, but none of you have actually gotten to the point where you've finished your plan. And that's starting to be an issue for me, because apparently I've not done a good enough job, or I've not followed through enough, because I want those plans to come back to me at some point, so I know that you're at a place where you can kind of tell me where you're headed. Because if you haven't got your own personal next few years figured out any better than that, then you're going to miss a lot of success that you could have had. There's just no question that what we chew on, we eventually swallow, and what we chew on and swallow is what we become. Just got to put things in place that will allow you to get from where you are to where you like to be. And by the way, the Zones Narrows, this is another spot that is really interesting up that 20-mile canyon. But you can't see this kind of country without getting wet. There's just no way to go up Zones Narrows and not get wet. And that's what keeps people from doing it, from going in that direction. And so that's why I do a plan. That's why I come in a direction. It so tickles me because I see this as the side of one of the city trucks. And that's a city logo. And I think, wow, how could I have ended up in a better place than Park City, America? Just could not fit better for what I'm trying to do. But it's been one thing that I can share with everyone I've ever crossed paths with. The differences I usually go to bed every night thinking about the plans that I have been working on for a very long time. And that's the key, is to have that plan in that direction. And all I've done is bother to share it. I make no bones about the fact that I have developed a lifestyle and a direction for my own life that is as rich as it can get. I don't know what better I could do, but I have the kind of life and growing old circumstance that I think everyone should work toward. And if you can figure that out, and that is the dream that fires up every day of your life, God, you're going to be a lot happier. You're going to have that taste of success. And all it takes is this targeting effort. The side of you that's watching for these nudging moments, these little unique things that come up and show you, oh my heavens, this fits with my plan. This is exactly what I should be taking on in the direction that I should be going. If you can get up every morning and know where you're headed and why, and then you go to bed every night measuring how did I do with that direction. Is this not a really great way to grow old? I think it is. Whatever degree of mastery that you can put into your life with something unique will help you survive damn near everything. It really is the secret, is to get good at something. And I don't care if it's drawing on teeth or carving eggshells or doing knife blades or doing gun stocks, car windows, you name it. There's something unique out there that is your own personal interest. Don't do it first because it sounds like it'll make money. Do it first because you absolutely love what you're doing. And then go after a quest and an effort to become better than ordinary. Let's get your butt in the middle of this whole program so you can then contribute. It's not a good idea to just settle for any old thing that comes along. This really represents the best way to squeeze out of your life whatever is possible and then participate with us as a group and as a network and an organization. It's my hope that this cable television network would then promote each and every one of you and the Discovery Studio Circle and the I&E network from now on, long after I'm gone. And then we're doing something really worthwhile for a whole lot of people. All righty, gang. that's the song and dance for tonight. I hope there was something there that gave you a little something to chew on and something to think about.
I got something for you to chew on.
Okay, Malrick.
Well, between 1983 and 1988, I worked for Rockwell International North American Aircraft and Space Transport Systems.
Mm-hmm.
We built the Atlantis Space Shuttle, which you know, and also the B-1B bomber.
Oh, did you really? Oh, shoot, Mel.
Yeah.
Oh, man, do I love that. Is that absolutely unbelievable? Oh, that just rocks my socks off. That's so cool.
And I was instrumental in saving their butts in the bird strike refit because I knew how to sew leather.
Oh,
Therefore,
really?
yeah, I I was laid off on Friday. Saturday morning, I had an engineer knocking on my door asking if my leather sewing machine would sew Kevlar. Kevlar sheeting.
Yeah.
I said, well, I don't know. Let's go get some and try it out. It did.
Well, my boys and I are we've been talking about this car for a long time, and we really can't get at it till we get the new building done, but we're beginning to lay plans for that. And the new motorcycles and things have been coming out. They've got a direct drive now from the motor to the rear wheel, and so each of those outside pods are going to be that motor and direct drive rather than a chain thing. But we're going to have it be a rear entry, so you'll come in and sit in the seat, and it's going to rotate and then slide up into the cockpit from the back, at least for now. That's our best image so far. But what a fun concept to play with your boys. You know, it's just absolutely, they got the smarts, they've got the ability, they have the money now. It's just a matter of they're too busy. Too busy to help their old man work with his idea. But that part of playing with your thoughts and your hopes and your dreams, to me, I don't know how we can help encourage each other's lives, but every one of us have to raise the standard of our own circumstances. And if you could pull your life from however much an hour you think you're worth now and gradually increase that by this secondary effort, this hobby effort over here that's turning into a business, that has to raise the standard of your living. There's no way
it will.
Yeah, there's no way it can't. You've done it, Mel, and you've done it, Ron. When you started playing with Ken Brown and doing calligraphy and engraving with high-speed stuff, I'm not sure you or believed there was $100 an hour in it when you started, but you sure know what's in there now, don't you?
Well, yeah, I didn't believe the $100 an hour. I started it at 50. Shortly after, went up to 75, and I told the story about how I left it slip on one of your Wednesday night shows and mentioned $100 an hour, and I wasn't there yet, and I went back and asked for it and got it, and because I didn't want to make a liar out of myself, so
I remember
asked for it. And
Jose, once you did the same thing. Jose was so scared to ask for $100 an hour. He was just terrified. And he walked in there, sat down, and I says, say the amount of what it is per hour and a 6-hour minimum day, and then shut up. Don't say another word. And bam, it dropped right into his lap. And that's what most of us have to learn. We have to have a degree of confidence in ourselves and what we're doing.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to toss a number out there because you never know. They'll either do one or two things. They'll reject it, or they'll say, when can I come over?
Yeah, absolutely. And the slide I had in the show tonight, don't let their fear of rejection or criticism make the basis of your decisions. We're all more susceptible to that than we would really dare. admit. I'm positive that that's a huge factor, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and the most that I've made was 150 an hour.
Yeah. Well, that means you've still got some upscale stuff that you could play with even yet.
Oh yeah, when you charge a fella $600 to engrave 2 windows on his car, and it takes you 4 hours to do it,
that
ain't too shabby.
That's pretty good money. Yeah, that's pretty good money.
My attitude to hand it to you.
My attitude about income here with custom personalization has been that if you're getting around $1 a minute, you're coming in about $60 an hour in the nationwide economy personalization. That's a pretty good number. That's if you're below that, then we need to start working on what can we do to up that. If you're above that, then there's even more room to go. And I just sit back and I'm going to show you pretty carefully with what I did with this recent order with BYU, and it's a staggering number. I mean, I just do really well with it. And it's the kind of business that no one ever challenges, no one ever really goes after it. I've done that one crystal piece every Christmas for BYU for so many years I can't even count. And when those kinds of relationships and clients are in your life, you're playing with the top end of the economy, what we talk about upscale marketing all the time. And that will sustain your hobby. That's what will make the damn thing work. And most of us are so afraid to go after that. All right, any other questions? Any other comments?
Well, don't be afraid to make more than one copy of any one thing. You don't have to always make one-of-a-kind pieces.
No. Each one is its own edition. When you're done them handmade, every one is a limited edition. And when I asked Jack if we ought to do another one of the Orsahide Jewish prayers, he just said, "Oh, what a great idea!" Done deal. Done deal. It just takes, all I got to do is usually suggest something new to him, and he's just all over it.
Well, you know which buttons to push.
Yeah, I do. I really do, especially in his life. Oh, and the pictures. We shot more video and pictures this week, and gosh, it's going to be fun. I've dropped his $40 million collection in the middle of our lives, put all our masters in the circle out surrounding that group of elegant handmade, original stuff. It's going to be really exciting to see what goes forward on the web with our Journey TV. So zero in on something you can do masterfully and make that your name and reputation, guys. It's the secret of growing old. Jay, you're coming up on it so close here now. It won't be too long till you'll start zeroing in on one individual area that you prefer more than others. With your custom engraving you do, it's going to show up, and when it does, then what you do is just lean on that more and more. Have you had any nibbles so far of any ideas of what you think that might be yet, or you're still just doing a little of everything?
Oh, my main thing, it's still the motorcycles. I still have the other stuff in there, the glassware and things like that, because that's what people ask for at the rallies.
Yeah.
On the different events that I go to, but my main deal is working on bikes.
Well, I think that'll be bikes, but I'm thinking of a custom, particular kind of artwork that you do for that. Is what I'm talking about. It's something that you become famous for doing for bikes.
That one's kind of hard to say because every time I deal with a new customer, it's always something just a little different.
Yeah.
So that there hasn't been one really particular thing, I've been able to, really focus in on because everybody wants something different for their bike, depending on what their personality is.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Lance? Have you seen any specialization in what you're doing yet, or you're still you're on guns, particularly now, but you're starting to have anything show up more often that you really prefer? Got to open your
I guess Yeah,
There you
I
go.
guess if I had anything, it's just like more people are coming to me for basket weave if we're going to do it, and on that, and it's funny. It just I'm other than that, it's more wildlife than anything else. You know, just game animals. That seems to be the thing everybody wants. You know, there's people who do old west stuff, but seem to be coming from me for game animals.
Hey, Lance, can
So
I
far, that's it. Yeah.
can I just want to mention something to you, and only because I took notice to it with your work. You have an exceptional ability to carve dogs. And
Because I like it.
well, this is what I'm getting at. I think, put dogs on other stuff, put dogs on different things, but you like doing it, you like the dogs, and, everybody's doing some other stuff, but I don't see anybody doing dogs, and you have a knack for getting the expression on the dogs' faces, and I think maybe that's just something to think about.
I agree. I'd
Yes.
sure love to do that. I hate to say exclusively, but I would love to do a lot of that. If I can get people wanting
Well,
that,
it's
I'll
just-
just have to do more displays of it.
That's a what you ought to do moment, Lance. That's the very kind of thing that I have tried to pay really close attention to, because as you start moving in more focused, more exclusive, and everyone in the income world, we all think, well, what I should do with my life is go this way, and I'm going, no, it's exactly the opposite. You start with a wide range of interest, but the gradual degree of focus and specific effort of yours. I mean, if you look at the music industry, you can take any really famous recording star, and they're generally kind of famous for a particular kind of thing. You know, Kenny Rogers did the songs that told stories. Toby Keith has done the same kind of thing. And it's usually the superstars are the ones that found that. They found that one thing that they really make their money on, and it's usually the thing they enjoy the most. So it's just a matter of looking for that, watching for that, pay attention to those signals. That's a really great way to finish.
Drawing my brain there, Ron. I appreciate it.
Well, people have drawn stuff out of my brain that I didn't know was in there, so I just figured I'd pass it along, and that's what I took.
Appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it.
If there's anything makes having these hangouts worth it, that's just what just happened. Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you, Ron.
No, yeah, if you look at a particular, style of engraving that, people say that, you do good or interest, or is really an interest. I guess for me, it would really be doing the Celtic designs.
Yeah.
It seems like I do a lot of Celtic designs. So.
Yeah.
Dr. Lou?
Yes, Ron.
I sent Lance a YouTube video on dogs. So, Lance, that's a what you ought to do moment.
Yeah.
Coming at you from several directions. That's neat. Yeah, several directions. Now, doesn't mean it has to be. We're not trying to say it that way. But what it is it's like my B-1 bomber sign that showed up in my life again. The fact that showed up by accident, the fact that Mel actually worked on the B-1, you don't realize the door you just opened up, buddy. I'm so startled by that. I can't believe it. But all of it comes together at the time. It's a timing thing, isn't it? All success has a degree, an element of timing to it. And I think these signals, these whispers come to you. They're the kind of things that's what pay attention to. If there's one key that you can find that will unlock a particular door, that's what you're looking for. Your future is through that door. But you got to find, okay, what opens it up? And if you're the kind of person like most of us are, we're right-brain people, we like all the keys. Oh, geez, I can't have enough keys. And one day in college, I had a job. I was an errand boy. I was a gopher for the president of Steiner American Corporation. And Steiner had $35 million a year payroll. They were a huge outfit. And I got to be his shuttle kid, and I hauled his wine to his house and took his kids to school and took him out to do his airplane. He had his own private plane. And one time I'm hauling him out there in my car, and instead of his big fancy Suburban. And I don't know how it came up, but I pulled out my key ring because I was getting more and more keys in my life. I was getting, and I thought that's what you did. That a good, responsible, busy, successful person had a lot of keys. And he said, Lewis, that's the wrong direction. He says, I don't have any keys. Everyone has the keys for me. And geez, it hit me hard. It's just like my thinking was way over here, when in reality, what I wanted most was to be over here. So you watch for those kind of signals, and as you do follow your heart, those signals, those whispers, you'll be happier. You'll get lots of little reinforcing moments that say, yeah, I'm on the path, I'm on the right path. And I don't think there's anything else that anybody else can help you with. You've got to find where is the success mountain you're going after, and what's that pathway up that successful mountain. And we just happen to have a really large gathering of people now that, oh, God, it's going to be fun. And you guys that are playing on Google Plus so much with me, you don't realize how far ahead you are. We moved some money today, and I had our financial planner with us, and I told him he's such a sharp kid, got him just really, really good. And I says, do you do anything on Google Plus at all? And he said, what's Google Plus? God, I could have had a heart attack. I'm just going, okay, got to show you, son, what's happening right under your nose. This whole world of marketing and business is right here. One day, each of you, as you master something, should have your own show on Google Plus. That's my goal. And if we can gradually pull you into a position where you have enough to share, you've got a focused kind of effort, and you have something then you can package. Because all I did was figure out, okay, if I'm going to make this effort for Jack Solomon, then what I've got to do is package that and share it to somebody else. If I'm going to do this effort for the university and help them raise money, then what I got to do is package that and show people how to do that as well. This what you've learned how to do thing is really valuable stuff, guys. Really valuable. Okay, I think we've covered the territory. I'm starting to think I need to be careful with my hour and end up when I say I'll end up, because we tend to overrun things pretty aggressively, and I'm not sure that's a good idea. So, any other comment quickly? We got a couple more minutes.
I just have a quick comment, Dr. Lou.
You bet, Robert.
Two things. I sent you an email on the 10 priorities you said that we had. I don't know if you received it, but I was hoping I was on the right track. But one of the things, if you haven't, I realized that I take a step back because I realized kind of laying down the foundation the next 6 months or a year is I decided that what I need to do too, like Lance, is to better my skills, for the Pets and Pet Memorials, and I'm going to incorporate different styles, maybe even together, whether it be engraving, whether it be wood burning or whatever. And I think that's where that's kind of the direction that I'm trying to see in the future. Because that's something that always hits me. Like Lance, every time you do a dog, I agree with Ron, it hits me. And just in training purposes, on the videos you created, Lance, I think you definitely have a very good style as a teacher, and I appreciate that, But that's where I'm coming from. I'm kind of taking a step back, looking, okay, how can I enhance it so my work is more unique than somebody else's would be, and I want to specialize in that.
Who has some wisdom to share with Lance or with Robert right now? Who could enhance and encourage that statement he's just made? Ron?
I don't right now, Lou. I'm sorry.
Okay. Mel?
Well, having the ability to mix medias to enhance your work, it puts you in a whole different category than everybody else. Makes you unique and unto yourself.
When you What you just did, Robert, was you took a risk by saying what you said. Do you see that? Open up your mic, Robert. There you go. All right, you took a risk by saying what you said and making something a commitment. And now what I watch for, what I think you should do now is just take that risk and then watch for the reaction. Listen for the whispers. Out of the things you've listed for this 10 things, 1 or 2 or 3 of them should be a priority, more so than the whole list of the 10. All I'm trying to do is get you to zero in on and zero in on and zero in on, constantly focus your efforts so that you end up here. And that's how it begins for every one of us. Every one of us have the same kind of mentality, the same kind of thinking. But you bothered to risk that out. Now watch for some reinforcement of the ideas that now come from really unusual directions. There'll be things that somebody will say something else will happen, this will show up, and then it just helps make things go. And I'm going, well, what if that's the direction the rest of your life is supposed to take? What if everything you've experienced so far in your life has led you to now? And that's where we're supposed to be for reasons. And I don't think most of the time we can really see what those reasons are. I am positive every one of you have no idea how much influence you really have. One of the really great moments in my life was when I showed Ron how influential Ron Schneeberger is. How influential Mel. Both Ron and Mel and Joni are willing to share their lives and their degree of success, abundantly so. And because of that, they get more out of it than anybody else.
I'll get anybody into trouble with me.
Hold my coffee and watch. Yeah.
Come on, it's an e-ticket ride.
I think that's how you do it. I think that's why all this new machinery is so damn magnificent, because we're getting a little better and a little better and a little better at figuring out how to use it. And there's never been a way to change and better the world faster and better and more capable than what we're playing with right now. I know that's why we're playing with it, but I think we're learning some very, very good stuff in the process. So, thanks all of you for participating. I appreciate you being willing to sit in. As soon as we get this opened up for the comment tracker and are able to pull it off of everywhere else, then we'll have our regular live feed with our full show, and we've got more than enough ability to pull it out into the marketplace aggressively. So begin to make your own lists of people that they ought to come and play with us and get involved with us on this kind of format more often. And then as we open up Comment Tracker, I think that'll actually start to happen. So appreciate all you bring to the party, and thanks for coming, and we'll see you tomorrow night, okay?
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.